Welcome to the channel. Building overseas doesn't have to be a nightmare. My goal is to help you make that dream a reality. Expect weekly tips on the process of building that dream home and the lifestyle it brings. So check out my videos, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Hello. Good afternoon, good evening to some of you. Hope all is well. Last week, I got caught up in a few things, and so decided to postpone it to today. I hope everybody's doing well and the new year is treating you well. So, as usual, let me know the feedback. If Eve has the audio, if you can see me, that'd be great. We're gonna take it and just run with this, and then keep it brief. And if you have any questions, you can just throw it in there. Okay. So let me know if you can hear me, Eve. If sound is good. So this audio is fine. Thank you. All right, great. So this I've been getting a question about these apartments versus a house for quite some few years now, and people wanted to know which area should they pursue, and so this is not to say one is better than the other per se. Is more about your preference and some factors that you need to consider. So that you can pick the one that is best for the lifestyle, right? And so what is ideal for one person might not be ideal for the other. So, all right. Okay. So apartments, usually, when we look at apartments in general, and also apartments, when we look on the continent. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of not renting. I'm looking at it from like you own an apartment. So let's say if you have money to either go and buy an apartment or build a house or buy a house, what are some of the things that you need to consider, right? And so that is what I want you to to look at. And so one thing is like usually apartment is generally it is like a shared compound, right? So maybe you'll be sharing some, parking spaces, courtyard, or maybe a pool or something like that. And so you have to factor that in. The apartment may be joined together as a unit. So there will be walls, or you might share a wall with a neighbor, and that has some pros and cons as well. Let's say what happens if you have, a very noisy neighbor, and you want quiet, and that becomes problematic, right? In general, also apartments are a little bit smaller in size. Doesn't mean you couldn't get a bigger size apartment, but also that's gonna increase the cost as well. So houses tend to have a little bit more space compared to apartments. Another thing you also have to look at too is similar floor plans, right? For apartments, and so some apartments don't have diversity of layout. So they just have, like, if it's a 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom apartment, it's just like same layout, so it doesn't give you the options per se. So those who wants to get into that field, maybe come out with multiple units layouts. Okay, so you have to look at that. And but the good thing about apartment also can be, let's say the apartment might be in your desirable location, your ideal location, and maybe for building a house, you might not find land in that desirable location without maybe paying large sums of money, or maybe sometimes too it's like you can afford, but there's no room, there's no land for sale, and also, yep, and just with everything, the ideal location for apartment is going to cost you more, price accordingly, right? So you have to factor that in. Now, I think, apartment, I think, is best suited for couple, this kind of people in the category, like, single person, who's not starting a family yet. You could get a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, and then figure it out, down the road, what is it that you ideally want to live and that kinds of stuff. So another category that works well for people that apartment living will be empty nesters. So let's say, you've retired and you save some money and you don't want to go through the hassle of building a new house and that kind of stuff. Maybe you want that 2 bedroom and stuff like that. So an empty nester is like, what, maybe that's how you want to live, and it's in the location you want. So that will be a good thing for ideal single bachelors, empty nesters, and that kind of stuff, right? I'll address that. And another benefit for apartment too, I was thinking about the other day too. So because I've had these questions, some of these questions during consultations, like, Tony, you know what? If I build my house and I can close everything, I can lock everything, come back to the U.S. Because I don't want anybody living in the house. No, that is not a good idea, because it's only going to take a few weeks for people to know that you are not, there's nobody in the house, and they are going to find a way and get into it. An apartment in the units, what could happen is that you could, depending on what it is, there's other things that you can do to make a house look like somebody lives there, and stuff like that. But you could probably leave for a month or two without anybody knowing that the unit is not occupied, and stuff like that. At least it will be people in the unit, not people outside apartment complex. Okay, so that's one thing to factor in. Another thing with apartment is you definitely are going to have less privacy. If privacy is a big thing to you, apartment dwelling is not going to be it, especially when you are sharing the communal pool and the other amenities and stuff like that, and you're sharing like a wall, right? That privacy is not going to be there for apartment living. Another things, like I said earlier, you could live in an apartment, maybe, and then see someday you can build your dream home and then use the apartment as a rental. That's another option. Some apartment can give you security, gated community security aspects, and so then you don't have to pay for all those things as well, with a control access. So some apartment do provide that, and that will come with and some extra cost. So there's a benefit to that. Another challenge, though, for empty nesters in apartment living is you probably want to live on the ground level, because what if you don't have like an elevator? If you don't have an elevator, let's say it's a 4 unit or 5 unit apartment, and you don't have elevator, and you are getting older in age, and at a certain point, climbing those stairs becomes a challenge, right? Becomes a challenge. So it's a few things you have to think about it, to because often of time when people come to consultation, they want certain things, but that is not better suited for the type of living accommodation that they want. All right, let's pick this question before we move to that. What happens if there's a fire in apartment? Are they efficient fire marshals over there? So that's one thing that you really, this is a very, very good question by Eve. You really need to consider, right? If there's fire, you becomes casualty of the moment. And so that means that that apartment that you are looking at should have fire hydrant, should have ways to mitigate. They should build with fireproof materials. Maybe it would be nice if individual people have a couple of fire extinguishers and all kinds of stuff in there. And so it's very, very important, because once it goes in flames, the fire marshals might get it. This is Africa we're talking about. They might get there. It might get them on time. Might not get on time because they are in traffic and all kinds of challenges. So, um, since the units are all attached, when you know, granted, it takes a little bit while for cement blocks to burn down, but at least smoke and the wooden part of the stuff are going to destroy the whole complex. So it's something that you have to look at it. So if you're looking for apartment living, you have to look at what is the the fire measures in place, fire prevention measures, and how to deal with that. So it's very, 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 very important. Is an apartment cheaper than a house? An apartment can be cheaper on a house. So 1-to-1 ratio, I would say an apartment probably will be cheaper than a house. That doesn't mean that certain apartment can be more expensive than a house. Yeah, you do have that um, and that kinds of stuff. And so it can be. So I say 1-on-1, it can be cheaper because um, you have to understand this too. When you build your dream home, you end up spending more than when you build an apartment, in the sense that your dream home, you tend to want the best of a lot of things, and then when you build an apartment, you are trying to manage the cost, like let's say apartment for rental or a condo for rental, as Shira said, a condo for rental, stuff like that. You build with cost in mind, and so you are going from moderate quality to some low quality, maybe to high quality here and there. So it's a mixture of that stuff. But when you are building for your own dream home, you are going to probably put about 90% of the stuff as higher in quality. So that is going to increase the cost of that aspect. Let me give you a few shout outs here. EVE, thank you for joining here. Appreciate your thoughts and comments. Salif, hope all is well with you. I thought I saw Shira here. Did Shira disappear? Royal Kemet, believe you were here. Yes, yes. Royal Kemet is here. Thank you for joining me. And so we are talking about, like Shira said, Michelle, thanks for joining. Bros comes living in a condo. So condo, in the sense of condo, I'll put the condo in the sense of the apartment, like, because so when I'm saying a house, I'm talking about more like a detached house with gated, like a fenced in individual space, right? So apartment living will fall under the condo as well, which will be multi units with a shared space of some kind of like external space of either the amenities, the pool, car parking and stuff like that. Car parking might be limited, especially when you have every single adult individual in the unit owning a vehicle. Then there's a probability that there's space, and I'm talking about primarily in Africa. There's a probability that you're not gonna have, everybody's not gonna have like indoor space, because usually the way I see it is that it's like a car per unit. So if you have 5 units and you have, you know, um, 10 people in those units, each having a car, then some people have to park outside the facility or stuff like that. Okay, or find a way to rotate that. Okay. So in the sense of apartment, so I'm looking at it from well, so I'm looking at it from ownership, but your question is about renting. Sometimes they tell you they are going to do it, but to be realistically, sometimes it's a hassle. Especially, think about it, when you've paid a 1 or 2 year advance already, and they got their money, and sometimes it's a little bit delayed, and basically you are waiting for them to show up and get things rectified. But if it's a house, if you have a plumbing leak, you have to take care of those things, because it's all on you 100%. So that could be a good thing and a bad thing, but it's something that you work through your renting. Okay. So once you own if you own the apartment, yeah. So you own an apartment, it's like, whatever happens, it's on your own. The only thing too, as you're saying this thing too, is like, if it's a multi-unit apartment, somebody may do something in the apartment, and that could affect you, because usually it's one plumbing line one kind of like, power wiring that is being distributed. And so certain things happen, somebody does something, clogs the main line, then everybody's clogged, right? So those are some of the things you have to, factor in, that there's certain things that are outside your control. Okay. Now, house, right? House living. Houses, our part of the world tend to be a little bit larger, in terms of you get a little bit more rooms. Doesn't mean that you couldn't, like I have not seen a 5 bedroom apartment in Ghana. I've seen three, and a few maybe four, but it's usually 2 to 3, right? So with a house, you could go multiple rooms. And also for most homes, because when we do 70 by 100 in Ghana and stuff like that, that is your compound, right? So you are not sharing a common space with your neighbor or anybody else, right? You tend to have a little bit more options for parking, maybe additional 1 or 2 for parking. You also tend to determine the quality of amenities, right? That you want to put in the house. An apartment that you just bought is being chosen for you, and is going to work or might not work, right? And so you have that. And so when it comes to space, outdoor space, and some indoor spaces, houses tend to win over time. Houses also tend to be, if you have a larger family, I think for larger family, I would say a house. Apartments can be, sometimes it feels like you are on top of each other, especially when you have, teenage, children and stuff like that. It can look a little bit clouded, right, and stuff like that. So, and then for privacy reasons, houses, if you want a lot of privacy, a house would do, because you can control a lot of things. Now, it will cost you more to build a house than an apartment. To buy an apartment, for all things be equal, it will cost a little bit more to build a house. You cannot also abandon the house for a month or two without having people actually knowing that this house is vacated and stuff like that. So apartment, depending on the unit and stuff like that, you could do that. Um, and also too, when you build a house, and it's like all the safety stuff is basically it's on you, unless you live in some kind of gated community with an outsourced security control access. But everything for a house, everything is on you 100%, right? Your fire control measures, landscaping, all that stuff will be on you. Apartment, maybe you don't have to do that, and or condo, you don't have to do that. So that's a couple of things that you have to factor in as well. Okay. Yes, yes. So for a family, yeah, 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 yeah. Because that would be, I would not, I will agree with that 100%. That you want to go the house, because that gives you space, and also it makes it feel like you can actually bond better than everybody crowded on a 2 3 bedroom apartment that has like, 1,000 square feet or whatever on one floor. So yeah, so for family, I would say a house. Okay. Yeah, so these are very, very important questions you're asking. So sometimes, the apartment, when you buy the apartment, they might say you still pay some HO fees or something to mitigate against maybe the landscaping and certain things. It is very, very important. We are very terrible when we make this investment that we're not reading the fine print, we're not reading the contract, and stuff like that. It is your time. It's very, very important you understand who's going to be doing what is going to be out of pocket for you. Sometimes we get overly excited with a purchase and stuff like that. We forget that, and then until something happens, and then you on your own. And if the situation that no matter what happens to the bank, you are responsible for your unit, because some apartment could say everybody's responsible for their unit, and stuff like that, then that means you also have to factor in money that you have to put aside for maintenance and for emergencies of that kind of stuff. In a house, it's all on you, right? In an apartment, it could be different forms of arrangement. So I'm talking about apartment that you own. Rental too might be a little bit different. So these are really important questions that so Brigitte, thanks to it's been a while. Thanks for joining us. Were you ready? Good question. So you're leaving because easily gone or be somewhere far. So in your opinion. Good question. So there's a couple of things you have to understand, right? Okay, let's say you find a land, okay, in both areas, okay, and you are deciding. So let's say you can afford the East Legon land in the Kaswa, whatever, or outside. Then I would say there's a type of house that you are going to put at East Legon that you are not going to put at Kaswa. So, for example, if you choose to go the East Legon route, then you probably want to build something that eventually will have some commercial ability, rental ability, and stuff like that. Because let's say down the road, you can rent it and make a lot of money. Then you want to make sure the house that you build, maybe with minimum renovation, can just get you that money monthly or that kinds of stuff. Now if you go maybe somewhere like Kaswa, then strictly you just building like for residential to just live and that kinds of stuff. So you have to factor in, okay, what is it that you also want, what industry, what kind of businesses you want to set, proximity to the businesses, where your clientele are going to be. Are your clientele going to be more in the East Legon area or in the Kaswa area or outside? So there's a bunch of stuff that you want to do. And so now you say living in apartment, if all being the same, then I would have probably picked for a single person. I would say I'll do the East Legon if the price is reasonable. I'll do the East Legon route because down the road, if I find some cheap land somewhere, I can, acquire that land for now. And then if all of a sudden rental prices start going up, I can rent the apartment, take the money, start saving, and build at another place. So it's about sometimes not looking at it in the short term, but looking at it long term. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Now, East Legon, when I left Ghana many years ago, East Legon was purely residential. Now it's a combination. There's a bunch of commercial stuff going on. It's when I left Ghana, it was not known for rental. Even airport, cantonment, and those places were not for rental. But now, those are the high end areas. So there's a bunch of restaurants is over there, some offices over there, popping up East Legon. So people that have homes at East Legon are moving out to some place like East Legon Hills and all those places now, because they can rent over there in certain areas and get good rental income and stuff like that. So in your case, I would have picked the East Legon right one for a single person if I can afford it and look at it forward. That's what I would do. Parliament, what if the lifts break down? Well, you're gonna take the stairs. You're gonna take the stairs. Not too many apartments have lift elevators in Ghana. Not too many. Those things are expensive. The cheapest one I've seen to put in could be 50, 60, $70,000 or more to put in a lift for 2 to 3, 4 units and stuff like that. So not that's it's not just the installation, it's also the maintenance. I've gone to some nice hotels in Ghana that was notorious for lifts breaking down all the time. So you have to factor that in. That's what I'm saying. If you're an empty nester, it's probably live on the ground level. So There's a benefit on living on ground level, but for security, ground levels are not the best area. But other than that, the ground level will give you access. If there's a fire, you can get out. There's a bunch of stuff. If um, if you're an empty nester, it's easier on your knees not to climb the stairs and stuff like that. But also for security, it's easier for somebody just to come in because it's on the ground level. Okay, and so it's about figuring out that who will be responsible for overall maintenance in the communal areas. Yep, these are important questions that you are going to have. That's where maybe the HO fees might come, because if you leave it for the owners, the apartment owners to do it, you are going to have a problem, because there'll be one person who really doesn't care to pick up the end of the share. So, because as much as we want to think like we think alike, we're not. And so that'll be one of those things that you have to really figure it out. In the house, you are responsible, right? And stuff like so. What about putting your house as apartment? So you could, if you are building and you are thinking about doing that, then you're gonna need a whole different type of layout that is going to make it conducive to convert it. So maybe if it's a two level, in the UK, you guys will stay one story. In the US, we'll say two story, right? If it's a ground level and another level, then maybe like the Kaswa house. So let's say, for example, the Kaswa house, if I want to rent it, I can literally put external stairs to go to the upstairs, and then that's it. And then there's a door that goes upstairs. I can close that one or wall it permanently, so nobody can go from to up or down, either direction. And the only thing they have to share is just the laundry, which is at the back of the house, that they are going to share. But other than that, because it has the same three bedrooms, same kitchen, and everything, and then they will share the garage. And so that is easier to do that, because they don't need, if you're upstairs, you really don't need anything downstairs. The only thing you need is laundry or the garage, which you can go around the house, the back of the house, and access that. So you can do that. So if it's something you want to do, then that goes into the layout, how you're going to set up the layout. So someday if you want to convert it, it's just easier to do. Other than that, you have to do some kind of like renovation, and stuff like that. So you have to think about that as well, where you're going to place things, and then use it. We have on our website, we have buying guide for a house. We have it over there. It's very, very important. This came about from the challenges that we have seen people buying houses and not taking care of the details. The people get excited about just the house or the location, and then scenarios like people will buy the house, but then they don't own the land, and then down the road there's a litigation about the land. So you have a purchase agreement, but you don't own the land. It's not like the U.S. I can't speak for UK. In the US, when you buy a house, the land and everything is all included. So there's a bunch of things you might do, because in Ghana, the land might be in a different person's name, and the house is owned belongs to a different person. So we have a buyer's guide for buying a house on the website that you can buy, and it start from there, and then also start from the inspection. Okay, what you should look for, signs of things, how you should check if they're hiding structural deficiencies, how you should check for quality of appliances. We have that, so patronize on that. It's $50, not a lot of money. Take that and then go through that, and use that as a guide. We also do building inspection as well, so we can come around and then look at it and tell you like, okay, this is what it is. This is the remedy that we suggest, or this is good to go. So you can visit my website. You know, it's my website. and then you can get it. All right. So go over there, and then it's on the services. Okay. You can get that and look at it. Right. So go to our website and then purchase it and look at it. Right. It's gonna help you. Okay. Soundproof. Well, so soundproof, concrete is a form of soundproof. So usually there's no soundproof in terms of the wall. The concrete are sufficient. Concrete walls, especially the solid blocks, they'll do that. Yeah. So obviously, yeah, if somebody's blasting the music like crazy, yeah, you could hear that. But in terms of discussions, like conversations, yeah, the walls will hold that in. And stuff like that. So, but yeah, so I don't, yeah, because then if they do casting, you are insulated. Sound is subjective. Some people hear everything, and some people never hear anything. So yeah. So home insurance. So Shara is I've got these questions. I've gotten these questions in the past, and I'll be honest with you. I don't um I don't look for any home insurance in Ghana. I don't, for the reason being is I don't think so. Let's say if I put $400,000 in a home, if something happens to burn down, they're not gonna pay me that. So instead, what I do is this: I have, like, if it's fire, I'm worried about. Okay, that'll be the major thing. So I have a bunch of stuff, which is the smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector. I have a bunch of fire extinguishers in multiple locations in the house to be easily accessed, because you know two fires, right, is going to be from cooking or some electrical component. So when you use the quality electrical, quality installation, and then you have um, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. So even if the gas goes out, because I have them, the carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide is in every bedroom and the hallway, and they are very, very sensitive. So if gas is leaking, that'll pick it up, and that kinds of stuff. That we can turn the gas off. No fire will be. For a couple hours, we open all the windows, get a ventilation going, and that kind of stuff. So I have taken that onto myself. So I don't have to deal with earthquake, hurricanes, flooding, and that kind of stuff. So the only thing you have to worry about is fire. And I've put in things in place, which is not going to be cheaper than to find some Ghana. They have them over there. I know even for the car, people that have paid like comprehensive insurance, and the cars get total, and they want to give them like 15% of the cost. So it's kind of like these things you have to put things. It's not like here I have insurance here, uh, because they will pay for what the value and assessment of that. So I don't have to worry about that. But in Ghana, it's a whole different thing. So I don't do that. I think it's much more efficient, and the way I'm doing it is to take care of that. Um, Other than that, the building is not going to collapse, or like I don't have flooding, and now we build with flooding in mind. So there's a bunch of things that you can do, um, that will help you not become a victim of these things. I don't want to go to Ghana and something has happened to my house and I'm fighting over insurance and you have to come back like 3 weeks, right? I don't want to do that. So I'll do my own thing. So I don't even look at them, because I personally for me, I don't see the value for me to use them. I will spend the money on the fire extinguisher and stuff like that. That will put out because when the fire start, the alarm's gonna go off, and within a minute, you know, and then we need to call the fire service. We can do that, and stuff like that. So, okay. Okay, so what about consultation? Consultation. Come to consultation, guys, is dope. It's a lot of questions. There's certain things that I cannot really tell you here. And so we have those discussions. I'll give you cost. Like for example, I can't give you my personal cost for my project. You will get that in the consultation aspect, because these are also, we have to maintain some level of privacy as well. And so you do get that, and you do get understanding of what you do and what it's going to take, and how you should strategize yourself, how you should protect yourself, how you should protect your investment. You don't see Tony coming here saying somebody took my money and ran away and that kinds of stuff. We give you strategies to do that. We give you strategies to manage your project, to make sure that the money is being used, now it's not going to somebody's pocket. And if they take your money, how you can find ways to deal with that and that kind of stuff. So all those things come in a consultation, and we talk about certain things, right? I'll tell you this, a lot of the people that are building in Ghana, foundation, even the beam, the footing, the columns, the dimensions they are using is so wrong, and even how the depth of the foundation is so wrong, um, that I don't mean, it's amazing that something has not happened to this building yet. Okay, and so we will give you those information. We'll give you, if it's 2 stories, this is what, forget what he's saying. Every civil engineer will agree that when it's 2 stories, this is how the depth they should go to. This is the columns, uh, um, the width of the columns, on the depth of the columns, what they should do. And if it's a 3 story, this is how they should do it. This is what the beam is. If it's 10 feet of space, if it's 12 feet of space, this is how thick the beam should. This is what type of iron rods they should use. This is a lot, right? That's all consultation. Okay. So it's very, very useful. All right. So join us. So, Reggie, I mean, the thing with rental is rental prices are always going up, right? Every year they go up. So sometimes, in the short term, it looks like maybe, it's not money well spent, but things change. Listen, we have situation in which the value of land is doubling yearly, right? And so Accra rental is going so high now in Accra that it's pushing out to even past Kaswa, past, even like, even, I mean, we're talking about, it's pushing people to Dodowa, Masama, Ibi, Pokua says, like, it's pushing people out because, you know, Greater Accra is getting, rentals is just becoming so expensive for what is it that you are getting. So I wouldn't say, it's a bad mistake or anything like that. Um, is this is the strategy? I'll give you this. I'm not a fan of, like, when people do 2 years rental contract and stuff like that. I don't want that. Like, if I'm renting out, it's 6 months, and the 6 month means after the 6 month, it allows me to increase the rent, or if somebody comes and they're willing to pay more, I know, listen, you got to wait a month or two. But if I'm locked in for 2 years, and I think the reason people do that is they want that, that advancement of the money to go do other things, but then you've locked in for that 2 years that you can't raise rent, right? And so I would just do 6 months, 6 months, uh, you know, with 10, 15%, whatever, 20%, whatever increase on the rental, after that, or something like that. That is how, our approach is. So rent is gonna go up this year, next year, every year is gonna go up. So you have to factor that in. And the area too eventually is going to develop. Okay. Yes, please hit the subscribe button. Share the videos. Share the videos. Share, rewatch it. Let's get the content out there to help people, because people sometimes reach out to me. I wish I've known this and stuff like that. So do it. So I encourage you to always do that, and then get a word out there, so people can get information, and they can get the stuff done. Okay. Few minutes, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Let me just scan through this to make sure I've not forgotten any question here. So you have to understand, it's all about the lifestyle you want. What is it that you want? Would apartment do? Some in certain lifestyle situation, apartment would do. Would a house do? Certain situation, a house would do. So it's about because what you want now might change. You have to also factor that in. What you want when you are vibrant, you're energetic. When you get much older, maybe you want a quiet downtime. Where the apartment is in the middle of everything, will you have that? So it's about factoring a bunch of stuff, and all. Maybe you keep the apartment, and you build someplace somewhere else to have that quiet time. Okay. So it's all about that. So this is not about one is better than the other. It's more about individual preferences and some factors that I wanted to give you, to consider, so then you can make the ideal decision for the lifestyle that we all want. And make no mistake, and I've said this before. If you get things in place, the lifestyle in Africa is dope, and I think people really don't understand this. It is incredible. The lifestyle it will take it will take you to be a multi-millionaire to do some of the stuff over there in Africa with some amount of money to just your daily living, and like I could just get up and not do anything, which when I go down there, I do the things that I really want to do, and everything is taken care of. Food, cleaning, gas in the car wash, driving. If I don't want to drive, people do that. Just laundry, everything. And so I just go to the site I need to be at. I meet with some clients, and then I go have a good time in the evening and stuff. So it's just not too many have to. So the life of really living is incredible. Is really incredible, and I think people don't understand it. And so I'm of the mindset of you know plan well so you can live the life that you truly deserve, and stuff like that. And so you can do that. Okay. Any thoughts? All right, apartments. So here's the thing. I've said this, and I'll say this again. Um, the construction will always happen in Ghana. Uh, the affordable housing, and I think they are not realistic. So what I would consider affordable housing is what can the average Ghanaian buy. That is what you are measuring. But they're using affordable housing as what can a lot of the diasporans buy. That's not affordable. That's not affordable for majority of the people. So the price is still high, and I think the only way eventually someday they are going to get it to affordable housing. So what I would consider affordable housing will be a one bedroom. They have to figure a way to do this. A one bedroom would be like maybe $25,000 tied to some kind of like mortgage for the average Ghanaian to be able to buy. That would be affordable for the local people, and stuff like that. So if they're doing 7,500, that's not affordable. That's not affordable for 95% of people in there. They don't have $100,000 to do anything with. And so that is the challenge. That word, they don't break it down, because if you look at the numbers, how much the average Ghanaian makes, they're not going to be able to. The whole family tree has not even seen 100,000. They can live few generations and they will not even, some of them will not even make 100,000. So some people can make the 100,000 a day or a month or whatever, but majority of the people don't have that. So it's not really affordable, and I think it has to probably change down the road, technology, and they have to use different sorts of materials to build that'll be extremely cheaper or something like that. That is the only way it becomes like affordable. So they're gonna build, and unfortunately there will be some apartments that will not be occupied because there's so much money you could, there's so many apartments you could buy even if you have the money, and so it's just gonna sit out there, um um for a while. And some people can afford to have it sit out there, some people cannot, because hey, you took a loan to build this thing, you got to pay the loan back, right? And so and so it's a bunch of stuff that we go deep into consultation. We look at how you funded this project, stuff like that. There's a bunch of strategies, there's a ton of stuff. We are not that helpless. Everything is just in information. Life is about information. To be rich and poor is about information, right? That's what it is. It's either you know or you don't know. And so sometimes you have to go get information, um, and stuff like that, so you don't put yourself in a financial bondage or that kinds of stuff. And so they will build apartments, people will build. Real estate is the one thing that always happens in Ghana that never slows down. Everything else slows down. But for people to be able to buy them, income must go up. Okay, Bridget, thank you. All right, that's the last question for today. If you have any more questions, you can reach us and we can talk more specifics. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me tonight. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I wish you a great weekend. And then don't mortgage your dream. Don't